Vernal pools, those temporary ponds that form in spring in our forested landscapes teeming with life. Here's a short story about one vernal pool and how a Harbor Springs Middle School science class is helping the Little Traverse Conservancy and the Michigan Natural Features Inventory.
My name is Kelly Pollies, and I teach 8th grade science primarily at Harbor Springs Middle School, and I also teach some exploratory classes. And what the students are doing is they are collecting data about a vernal pool here in a local nature preserve, Offield Nature Preserve. And this is the data they're collecting is going to be contributed to a larger database that Michigan Natural Features Inventory is using to collect information about vernal pools in Michigan, because there's not a lot of information about them because they are small wetlands and they haven't been monitored as well as some other larger wetland areas.
We came to learn about vernal pools from Great Lakes class in Miss Polly's, and we are learning about the plant life and the wildlife out here.
And we're learning about how to protect it and stuff, why it needs to be protected.
For several hours, these young citizen scientists worked with trained conservancy staff members to measure, sample, and describe this vernal pool.
One of our structured programs is the vernal pool monitoring program. And the neat thing about the eco-stewards is we partner with what's going on in a broader scale, beyond us, bigger than us, so at the state level. And the Michigan Natural Features Inventory is looking to gather data on vernal pools. We have land, we have vernal pools, we have volunteers, and so it's a nice match where we can get our volunteers coming out to our preserves, looking at the vernal pools, and gathering data not only to benefit us and our stewardship of the land, but also to help the broader scientific and natural resource community.
It's just fun to be able to go out in nature with your class and your friends and be able to see this type of stuff. And when you find something like animals or different types of species that you might not see every day, it's cool to be able to see that.
A vernal pool is a temporary wetland. So vernal means spring. So these are pools usually in upland forests that collect and hold water with the snow melt or rainfall. So these temporary pools, which dry up, don't have inlets or outlets, they allow special creatures like salamanders, frogs, crustaceans, and other aquatic insects to survive.
The tree frog laid eggs in the pond over there, and usually it's an indicator of a vernal pool.
A lot of different types of animals. Frog eggs, salamanders, fairy shrimp, and a lot of different vegetation. Oh, and you don't see fish. There's no fish in vernal pools.
Zoologist Yuman Lee is leading the statewide program to identify, map, and monitor vernal pools.
Vernal pools are really important for helping to maintain healthy forest ecosystems. And one of the main ways that they do that is that they provide habitat for a whole host of plant and animal species. A lot of these species make up the base of the food chain in these ecosystems. And so vernal pools really provide critical breeding habitat for a lot of these invertebrates and amphibians, including some species that are specialized for life in vernal pools or only occur in vernal pools, like the fairy shrimp. And then also species like the wood frog and spotted salamander and blue spotted salamander that primarily breed in vernal pools. And then these species then provide food for the other wildlife organisms that occur in forest ecosystems. So because vernal pools are such small, shallow, and because they're only wet for part of the year, they are vulnerable to a number of different threats. So for one thing, they're not very well protected under our current wetland regulations, because our current laws only mainly protect wetlands that are 5 acres in size or larger, and most vernal pools are smaller than 2.5 acres or even less than half an acre. So they're not well protected, so they're vulnerable to things like development. They're also vulnerable because they primarily occur in forested habitats with forest management practices, with timber harvest. Then the other threat would be climate change then. And so because vernal pools are so dependent, they're so closely tied to precipitation like snow and rain. That's where they get their water, and the groundwater. Some vernal pools get their water from groundwater. All those things are potentially going to be impacted by climate change.
My main motivation is getting the students out of the classroom to experience something hands-on, to participate in the collection of data that is going to be used for a greater purpose. It's going to go into the Vernal Pool data bank through Michigan Natural Features Inventory. They're learning about a unique ecosystem that they live very close to, and I just hope that they're gaining some background knowledge to then even use in their future scientific classes where they can reflect back on this experience to learn something new in the future.
I recommend coming to a vernal pool when you get a chance.